just hours after Brian Daboll told the media that he expects, and the expectation is for Wink Martindale to stay as the Giants' defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale has resigned. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. The news of the day surrounding the New York Giants: Wink Martindale has resigned. He is no longer the defensive coordinator for the Giants. And we're going to try and talk about why coming up around the corner. I'm going to give you my top 5 Wink Martindale replacements. But first, make sure you are subscribed to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. Because if the Giants make a move, we make a video. We're on our way to 50,000 subs here on this channel. Free Giants content every day, all off season long. So subscribe to the channel. Alrighty, first and foremost, the news is that Wink Martindale is resigning. He's not being fired. There is not a mutual parting of ways. Wink Martindale is resigning. And why would he do that? Let's break it down. First off, Brian Daboll should absolutely be embarrassed that a talent, that a coach at the level and at the prestige of Wink Martindale pretty much said, I don't want to work with you anymore. I don't want to be a part of this Giants staff. I mean, just this morning, Brian Daboll said the expectation is for Wink to get back. Big B back. And that's what's kind of upsetting to me a little bit. Because it almost feels like Brian Daboll is trying to pin this on Wink Martindale. He's saying, I want him back. I want him here. But the decision is up to Wink. And Wink pretty much said everything he had to say by resigning. Saying, I don't want to work for you anymore. I don't want to be on your staff. Man, how many times did Wink Martindale say throughout the last 2 seasons that this is not a stopgap job for him? This is a dream job. Being the defensive coordinator of the New York Football Giants is a dream job. And here he is, 2 years later, resigning from the staff of Brian Daboll. Hats off to Jay Glazer, man. Hats off to Jay Glazer. I always say it that Glazer, in my opinion, is the best NFL insider in the game. And he told us months ago that Wink Martindale and Brian Daboll's relationship is fractured and potentially past the point of repair. Hats off to you, Jay Glazer. You were right on this. You knew the whole time. Probably should have believed you a little bit more. This man right here, though, holding the play sheet right next to me, the cutoff, the tight white sleeves, he leaves a massive hole for the New York Giants to fill. I just want to go through some stats for the Giants. Points against in 2022, 17th. Yards allowed, 25th. Rushing yards allowed, 27th. Blitz rate, 1st. Pressure rate, 6th. Sacks, 13th. Turnovers, 25th. Then this year, 26th in points allowed, 27th in yards allowed, 29th in rushing yards, so not so good. But he got up to tied for 1st in turnovers. That's what he does. He causes mayhem. He makes it a living hell for offensive coordinators and quarterbacks. Wink Martindales don't grow on trees. And myself, you, Brian Daboll, and everybody on this staff and that supports this team is going to see that guys like this, with this type of talent, this type of swag, this type of dedication to the game, does not grow on trees. Martindale is going to be the top defensive coordinator hire throughout the cycle. He is going to go to a team, he's going to be their DC, and they're going to get one of the best defensive coordinators in the National Football League. He will be on a staff very, very soon. And the thing that I'm going to be upset about most, and what I am most upset about, is the development that he's had for a couple of guys. Let's start with Dexter Lawrence in the trenches. Dexter Lawrence is maybe the best nose tackle in the NFL, and he became that under Wink Martindale. Coach Patterson, the defensive line coach that came from the Minnesota Vikings, he deserves credit for that as well. Kayvon Thibodeau, in year 2 with Wink Martindale, was the first edge rusher with Wink Martindale in a long time that had more than double-digit sacks. Kayvon Thibodeau progressed. You talk about a guy like Deonte Banks. You drafted Deonte Banks as a press man corner so he could fit into this system. Xavier McKinney just had one of the best seasons as a safety in the NFL because of him. Jason Pinnock was great in this system. Micah McFadden was great. Bobby Okereke was great. We saw flashes from Azeez Ojulari last year. And honestly, I am worried about Brian Daboll going forward. If you can't get along with Wink Martindale, who can you get along with? In this business of the National Football League, it is about relationships. And if your head coach is pushing people like Wink Martindale out of the door, That's a problem. You don't think other defensive coordinators are going to talk to Wink before they take this job and say, what's it like working for Brian Daboll? You're wrong. They're absolutely going to do it. And I am worried that the Giants have now just lost their DC and may need to go get a new OC with Mike Kafka, who reportedly may want to leave as well. So you need a new DC, a new OC, a new special teams coordinator, new offensive line coordinator. There's a lot of positions for the Giants to fill. Oh my gosh, I am upset. Have I been critical of Wink Martindale? Yes. Have I said at times that I probably don't want him to be back? Yeah. But what he did versus the Eagles, what he did against the Rams, the way that everyone talks about him in this league, he deserves a lot of credit, and he's going to leave a big shoes to fill that I'm not sure the next guy can. Who's more to blame, though, for this happening? Who is it? Is it Daboll? Is it Wink? It's absolutely Daboll. Get the BDs full in the chat. Very disappointed in you, Bryan. Very disappointed. And you just lied to our face. You just all lied to our faces. You just told us the expectation is him to be back. You think you woke up this morning and Wink woke up this morning and said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. No, you knew what was going to happen, and you sat there and you lied to every single one of us. Very disappointed right now in Brian Daboll. Coming up next, the top 5 Wink Martindale replacements. We'll go through this quick. But yeah, I got 5 guys that immediately came to my mind. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Factor. Go to factormeals.com/GiantsChat50. Use the promo code GiantsChat50 and get hooked up with Factor. If you live a busy lifestyle like I do, you don't have time to grocery shop, or simply you just don't like grocery shopping. You've tried the whole meal prepping thing, and it hasn't worked out. Get started with Factor. Fresh, never frozen, chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to eat after just 2 minutes in the microwave. The food tastes great, and they have plenty of options for you. If you're on a keto diet, they have that. You want high-protein options, they have that. Calorie-conscious options, they have that. And they've got meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The food tastes awesome, and it helps you stay on track with your fitness goals and lifestyle. Get hooked up with Factor, factormeals.com/GiantsChat50, promo code GiantsChat50, 50% off. That information will be in the comments and description. Alrighty. Can't believe we're having to fucking do this. With Wink Martindale resigning as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, let's quickly go over 5 guys that I think will be at the top of the list as replacements. Number 1 that came to my mind is Leslie Frazier, former defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. He has a relationship with Brian Daboll, as Daboll was the OC, Frazier was the DC. Frazier also interviewed to be the head coach for the New York Giants before they hired Brian Daboll, and Joe Schoen was the general manager. So I think Leslie Frazier is a name to absolutely keep in mind. Mike Zimmer, former head coach and defensive mastermind for the Minnesota Vikings, is a name that comes to mind as well. He talked recently about how he wants to get back into the National Football League, and he is very similar to Wink. He's an aggressive defensive coordinator. He likes to get after you. And as my guy Patrick Seatman said, if you're looking for a guy to kind of groom and mold some young defensive backs like the Giants have, Zimmer is one of the best in the business at it. He's aggressive. He likes to get after teams, makes it uncomfortable. I think he's going to fit a similar style as Wink. He'll be on this list. What about Jerod Mayo, the former linebacker for the New England Patriots? Now he's on the defensive staff. I actually believe that he is the defensive coordinator, albeit Bill Belichick runs that defense. There's been talks that if the Patriots do move on from Bill Belichick, Mayo could be the next head coach in waiting. But let's say they hold on to him, and maybe he wants an upgrade to actually call defenses for 60 minutes on Sundays. Mayo is a guy I'm looking at, a guy I'm extremely looking at, and I'm interested in, and I think all Giants fans are going to be interested in, is AP, Antonio Pierce, number 58, Giants legend, Giants Super Bowl champion, Giants standout linebacker, currently the interim head coach with the Las Vegas Raiders. If they do not give him that head coach job, he should absolutely get an interview to be the DC for this team. I'm all in on AP as a potential guy. Also, Evero, the defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. He spent time with the Panthers. He spent time with the Denver Broncos. Last offseason, he was a name in head coaching searches, and he honestly did a really good job with the Carolina Panthers and the limited talent they have on that side of the ball. From people I've talked to, he's a name that is rising through the ranks and maybe even getting a head coaching job here pretty soon, but I could see him as a guy that the Giants are looking to hire as a potential Wink Martindale replacements. That's 5 guys, and we didn't go into depth into all of them, just wanted to get some names on your radar, but I want to know this. Do you guys want a full Wink Martindale replacement show? I'm talking going in depth, looking at stats, and telling you guys that I think should be the hire. If you do, hit that thumbs up icon. Maybe we get to 1,000 likes. We'll do Wink Martindale replacements. A full show tomorrow. It's been a busy Black Friday for the New York Giants. Wink Martindale, gone. And to recap it, as Dan Duggan, who works for The Athletic, best in the business in my opinion, that covers the Giants, says, to recap, here are the Giants assistants who are out so far. DC Wink Martindale, special teams coordinator Thomas McGahee, running back coach Jeff Nixon, leaving to become the Syracuse OC, offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, outside linebacker coach Drew Wilkins, defensive assistant Kevin Wilkins. The Wilkins brothers, they were the right-hand man to Wink Martindale. So when they got fired this morning, that told me everything there was. I almost wonder if it was like, yo, Wink, we'll have you here if you have to move on from the Wilkins brothers. I don't know. I'm upset. I'm still processing this just like you guys. Like Duggan says, lots of work for Daboll to do entering a pivotal third season. I said this on the earlier video. It's day one of the offseason. Number 3 for Daboll and Joe Schoen. The honeymoon's over. That Minnesota Vikings playoff win feels like years ago. It's time to get it right. The evaluation starts in year 3. And from here on, we need to be doing work in research and understanding and trying to figure out if Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are the guys to lead this team. Very upsetting. Subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll be back tomorrow.